Our top story tonight, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is now looking into an officer-involved shooting that left one man dead and two officers injured. Officials say it happened early this morning outside a closed business near East Victory Drive and Bull Street. When SPD officers encountered a man and the situation quickly became violent. WSAV's Jillian Coles is live from the scene with the late-breaking details from investigators and how city leaders are reacting.
Tina, the man has been identified as 35-year-old Nicholas Oxendine. The GBI tells WSAV he was loitering around these 520 wings earlier this morning. After being approached and questioned by two women SPD officers, he attacked them, causing them to open fire. He later died in the hospital. Now, I spoke with Savannah Mayor Van Johnson earlier today about the incident.
This is a very difficult situation for any police officer at any time to ever be put into a situation where they feel that deadly force should be used.
Mayor Johnson speaking on the fourth officer-involved shooting this year in Savannah. He says he received an early morning call from Police Chief Lenny Gunther. Two women officers were injured in the Starland district and were taken to the hospital where they are recovering from minor injuries.
Obviously, both of them are shooken by this incident. I had the opportunity to tell them that I was glad that they were okay.
The shooting happened very close to a residential area, according to the mayor. He says neighbors should feel reassured by the police department's active work.
Police officers are out patrolling and they're doing their job. If they see something suspicious, they are duty bound to be able to investigate that.
Before GBI confirmed the person who was shot was Nicholas Oxendine and that he was attacked by the officers, Johnson said this about where he stands.
If our officers are right, if they were justified in using deadly force, we as a community, me as mayor, we will stand fully and firmly behind our officer. However, if the investigation proves otherwise, that the officers acted outside of training or the law, then we will hold that officer accountable.
Now, the GBI says they will continue to investigate this incident, and we will update you when new information comes our way. Reporting live in Savannah, Jillian Coles, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Jillian, thank you. Continuing coverage now, the soldier convicted of shooting at 6 people at Fort Stewart now knows how long he'll spend behind bars. A military judge handed down the sentence this afternoon, capping off a week-long court-martial. WSAV's Evan Smoke was in the courtroom for the decision and has more on the sentence.
5 days after being found guilty of 6 specifications of attempted murder, soon-to-be former Sergeant Cornelius Radford found out that he could potentially spend the rest of his life behind bars. Radford was convicted last week of 2 specifications of attempted premeditated murder and 4 specifications of unpremeditated murder. He was given a life sentence with the possibility of parole for each offense. Of note, the judge said the sentences for the unpremeditated offenses were higher than the listed parameters, but he chose to upgrade the sentence due to injuries suffered by those involved and damage to the mission inflicted by the incident. These sentences are set to be served consecutively. Radford will also be dishonorably discharged, forfeit all pay and allowance, and be reduced to the pay grade of an E1. Reporting from Fort Stewart, Evan Smoke, WSAV News 3, on your side.
A Bluffton man already accused in his mother's death is now facing additional charges tied to the same violent incident. Authorities say the new counts stem from allegations he also attempted to stab his brother inside their apartment. The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office says a 21-year-old Brian Palacios is already charged with murder in the death of 50-year-old Elisa Palacios, who deputies say was found stabbed to death inside a Bluffton apartment on June 16th. Authorities confirmed the new charges, attempted murder and a second felony weapons count, are connected to allegations he also tried to stab his brother. Investigators say the case remains active as they continue working to determine exactly what led up to the deadly confrontation inside the home. A newly filed federal lawsuit making serious allegations involving several local law enforcement leaders and prosecutors, including former Brunswick Judicial Circuit District Attorney Jackie Johnson. Now the lawsuit focuses on former Glenn County Police Chief John Powell and his former Chief of Staff Brian Scott. According to the complaint, a group of officials, including Johnson, allegedly worked to undermine the leadership of the police department at the time. It claims the conflict goes back several years and involves a series of internal disputes, high-profile cases, and efforts to reorganize law enforcement in Glenn County. Now, the filing also references a 2018 officer-involved shooting, issues tied to an internal narcotics task force, and later a grand jury testimony connected to those events. It further alleges that some witnesses were pressured or offered immunity in exchange for their testimony. Those claims have been denied by the defendants in related proceedings. Now, at this point, the case is still in its early stages, and none of these allegations have been proven in court. WSAV is your local election headquarters. It is runoff day in South Carolina. Several key races are up for grabs tonight, and we start with the Democratic primary for District 1, which covers much of the Low Country. WSAV's Andrew Davis is live in Mount Pleasant at Nancy LaCour's watch party with a preview of what's expected tonight. Andrew.
Well, Tina, Nancy LaCour's name was one you didn't hear a year ago or even 6 months ago connected to this spot. But now the former Navy Vice Admiral is apparently the front runner after defeating Mac DeFord in that original primary by more than 3,000 votes. LaCour was actually relieved of her duty by current Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in August of last year as she was up for a promotion. The former Republican switched parties. She joined the Democratic side to run for office. Her campaign just started in February, but despite the short turnaround and questions about her allegiance, she made it clear the values and actions of the current administration were not hers anymore. Now, both LaCour and DeFord said with limited turnout expected today, it's been critical to try and reach out to everyone, even if they didn't vote for them the first time. She believes her platform and strength can win today and in November.
Being in D.C. under this administration, having worked under 6 different presidents of different parties, this is different, and it is concerning. And being in DC, I was able to be witness up close, to the dismantling of our democracy, and that is concerning to me. It's terrifying, I think, for us as a nation, and I want to be a part of making sure that stops.
Now, LaCour was recently endorsed by the mayor of Mount Pleasant, where we are right now. The seat being closely watched nationally as well. Experts say what was once a very easy Republican hold is now considered a relative toss-up in South Carolina. Of course, there's still a lot of work to be done for any Democrat to try to get this seat back for the first time since 2020, when Joe Cunningham won it. We'll be here all night with those results and get you all the details coming up soon. Andrew Davis, WSAV News 3 on your side.
Andrew, thank you. On the other side of the aisle, Republicans are also picking their candidates for the South Carolina District 1 race. They are choosing between a State Representative Mark Smith and a Charleston Councilwoman Jenny Costa Honeycutt. Both candidates say if they ultimately win in November, one of their top priorities will be helping people afford the cost of living, including bringing down housing prices. For more information on today's election and the candidates, head to our website, wsav.com/electionhq.